Hey everybody, welcome in. And there's been a lot of questions being asked about abilities and which abilities do I invest in first. And this is something I haven't even touched on before, but I do remember when I first started playing, I kind of had the same thing in mind. And I'm just going to let you all know what I did and how I went about this. So I am going to say like look at my runes. I do have a lot. The shortage only lasts while you're new. As soon as you start leveling up and beating, so there you can see I've got thousands and thousands, and alphas like the first ones. Betas there was always a shortage of until I was like level 50 plus and beating the challenges. So it's all about the challenges. So if you can get a good team for beating the challenges, then it becomes a whole lot easier. So when you're down lower and you're here beating up level 20 only, it can be a struggle. If you get up beating level 30, it starts to become easier. And then once you've done a few weeks of it, you end up being able to do most of your characters. And then once you get to like the 40 plus and to the 50 plus, that's when you start getting a bit of reprieve and being able to just do, okay, I can level up nearly any ability I want. But until you get there, let us just say the strategy that I went about leveling up abilities is, let's say Shan Yu for an example, because a lot of people, new players, are going for him. He's one of the best character in the game. So if we look at his kit, you got his basic attack, and now his basic attack, when you're looking at going from 1 to 2, it is massive. Being able to chain 50% of the charm is massive. From 1 to 2 on his headbutt, 50% chance to gain crit, chance up. That is massive, especially since it works with his other abilities. With his not hawk, eagle, falcon. I remember someone told me off on one of my earlier videos as that I called it a hawk and it's a falcon. So thank you for reminding me. I did remember. 50% chance for this character to gain offense up. So like all these little things, you got to start taking into consideration what is going to be the best, and then his passive, +5 speed meter decrease. So the way I go about looking at which ability should I go first, there's criteria. What do you use the most? Because whatever you want to level up, you want to make sure you're using it the most, or you're going to get the most use out of it. So let's take his basic and his skills, for example. When you start a match, which do you use first? Do you go out attacking first? Do you go out using your specials first? Majority of the times you're going to go out using your specials. And often the games don't last much longer than 2, 3, 4 turns. So you don't usually get in a lot of normal attacks. Wow. All depending, I know it's can be different at lower level as well, because sometimes that just getting through some tanks and like that, you can end up just attacking for a while. But in saying that, even if they do drag out, it kind of makes those skills more important, and you want to do more damage so things don't drag out, if you get where I'm going with that. So I would often recommend don't do the basic abilities first, because unless they're a key to the character, save them to last. Now that leaves you with the 2 specials. Use the same criteria. Which do you use first or more often, or which has the most impact is the criteria. So here's a little head bash. Giving 50% chance for crit chance up on the defeated opponent, or do you want to have 50% chance that this guy gains offense up? Offense up for him is massive. He does lots more damage. Crit chance up, massive. He does a lot more damage. This one, when you get an extra turn, is a better skill, but this one is also an amazing skill because it hits 3 enemies. So personally, out of the two, I would go for his Now It's Your Turn. That one is my favorite out of those two. And then I would go for the special. But with Shan Yu, there is also another option, his passive. And now, personally, if you're using a character with a very good passive, the passives are always active. They affect all of the abilities, all of everything that they do. And for this one, he gives plus 5% to the speed meter decrease, going from 1 to 2. So that is part of the reason why he is so good, is his speed meter control. So I would personally go passive, and then I would go for his special. It's your turn, and then what do you see? So that's kind of like the ordering I would take, and then last of all do the ability, the basic ability. But I would spread that out also on my other characters. So if I also was doing Mordu, now here is going to be a similar thing. So you've got the basic. So do I just want to go perform basic attack when Ancient Rage is empowered, or so he does a double attack, which is actually super good. But then you've also got 30% chance to do offense down on opponents. So now this, out of those two, I know that is not so much of a big deal. So that is one case where having the double attack on the tank, and because he's a tank, he's going to be lasting longer generally, so he will use his abilities and then last for some turns. This is an option where I would actually do his basic before his ability, and then for his other special, 50% more chance to give slow. Early game, slow is super good. Controlling the speed and the meters, and I'd say this ability is very good. So I would lean toward the specials before basics, but in saying that, the one basic was better than the other special. So just putting it out there. But then yet again, he has a passive as well. And so this passive is +1 offense up duration. So that means it's going to last for an extra turn. So it's going to last for 2 turns rather than just 1 turn. And that means it's going to affect 2 attacks or 2 specials or whatever else it might be. So you gotta think to yourself, what is going to be more worthwhile for me? What is going to do the most for me? I would personally go passive again, just because it's going to give you double the use. And just go for what is going to give you the most use, what you use the most, and then what is the most helpful. So I just tried to give you 2 examples of like when Shan Yu, his passive, his abilities, and then his standard attack. Whereas Mordu, his standard attack upgrading to level 2 is better than say the Savage Howl going to level 2. So there are options where not all specials and the increase that the special gives you are going to be better than the standard attack. But I'd say Mordu is one of the few that it would be imminent with. Now, if we would go and look at, say, I'm just going to pick a couple of characters that I know everybody is using. So let's go Mickey. His standard 30% chance to inflict defense down. His brooms, the 10% for speed meter. His whirlpool, 30% chance for slow. And then his passive, 5% chance to assist. Now, for this one, I think although his assist is nice, I think what is really good about Mickey is his specials. So I would personally go for Mickey. Your choice on either the AoE or the brooms, or whichever you use the most and you make the most use out of. Now, for taking both of these to level 2 is going to give you so much more control over a battle than it does if you have an assist chance. Since you're already assisting anyway, I'd rather have my 10% assist, and then I'd rather be able to inflict slow or decrease speed meter. So I would personally say, if I had to say Shan Yu, Mordu, Mickey, Aladdin, all of that, I would go Shan Yu's passive, controlling speed meter. You're gonna see something here, and this is the power of the team. Do his passive, do Mickey's AoE, do his brooms, and then go through and then go to, say, where's Aladdin? There he is. And then say for Aladdin, you can either do 50% bonus speed damage, but yet that's a basic attack. You can get the granted evasion, which is what makes him super good, or you can have the 30% chance to reduce speed meter. I think you know where we're going to lead to, or then you've got the passive as well. So an extra apple eaten to give him more health. So you can double the health that you gain, which is pretty good, and this is why he is such a good character. So if you are wanting that, if that's more important, I would say probably for me, this is happening all the time, and it's going to be super, super good. So once you can outdo the passives, generally the passives are a lot better, generally. But there are circumstances, just like with Mordu's attack, that's better than the special. With Mickey's passive, his specials are better than the passive. Now Aladdin, his passive is super good, and it can be annoying. Like if you're fighting Aladdin, I'm sure you've seen it sometimes. You're like, man, I just wish he wouldn't keep healing. If it's a pain, you probably want to be doing it for your own. But then that being said, his magic carpet, for me, those two will probably be the type because they are game changers. So I'll do either of those. So it'll be like Shan Yu's passive, Mickey's couple of passives, Aladdin's passive and carpet. Prioritize those types of abilities. Go through, do each of them. Don't need to do full one character. No. Just choose the best with the most impact. Go from there. And then once you've got a few more weeks in, push up and do your best on those ability challenges to get as much tokens as you can, or runes as you can. And that'll end up helping your teams. So if we were to pick a random character, let's say, what's someone that people will be doing up? Let's go ARIEL. So yet again, ARIEL has a lot of abilities. Do I want to have extra chain on level 2, extra health restored, 10% bonus damage per healthful effect removed, the decrease required magic by 1, which, so that pretty much means that originally, so you see the yellow bars above the Triton symbol, it was originally 5. And that means every 5 turns it can activate. When you decrease it, it's every 4 turns it can activate. So this is one of those times where, yes, it's a good passive, but it can potentially only trigger every 4 or 5 turns. So, you know, unless someone like replenishes the MP on it, yeah, it's a limited passive, shall we say, not unlimited passive. So here I'll probably go for her, since you want her for healing, go for health restored, and then go for her purge, and then I do really love her. This ability is amazing. So hey, go for what's going to impact you the most, bring more for your team. Once you've sorted that out, to then go back and start doing some of the others that you've missed. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully if I go down, so if I were to look, I think I've just upgraded lots there. So here we go. If I had to choose out of a basic attack or her special, I would undoubtedly choose her special. Getting unstoppable over on a special, rather than potentially doing offense down. Yeah, I know which one I'd rather have, which would be more game changing. And where's another one? trying to find actually characters that people would use that I haven't already leveled up. And I've done most of them already. And now my runes are just sitting there. So there is hope for you all that you'll get more than enough runes than you need. It is just a stretch at the very beginning. But choose what ones are most impactful, do them first, work your way up, and then hopefully that'll help you along with your teams and just push hard. That'll be like the best thing I would say is when these come around, try for the next level up. Try and always try it every time it comes around. See if like in those 1 or 2 days or 3 days that if your team has got strong enough that you might do it, or you might just be lucky enough one day. Push for it, because getting those extra stones and those levels will just help you along. And then once you're up, I mean, most people are around level 30 a week or so in, if you are doing the strategies with the gems that we suggest for growth, and that means you're going to be straight up here. And then when you're up to level 30, you can probably, if you're good enough and if you've invested well into your characters, you can probably push and beat the level 40s. And likewise, when you're getting up to nearly level 40, you can probably push yourself forward and do some of the level 50s. But the jumps are massive in the difficulty, so when you're getting up that high. So try, do your best, and then just invest wisely with the most impactful move. So hopefully that has helped, and we'll see you soon. Let me know if that's helped. I'd love to hear from you in the description below what other videos you want me to help with and to give some wisdom on. More than happy to. I will be doing a Scar and Lion King video with the characters and the events, but I have got the previous event as well in a previous video. If you want to check back in my old videos, I talked about what the event used to be like, and you'll see on the Discord notes they said they've removed the keys from the event, and in my last video that was a big thing that I focused on and talked about. So if you're interested to even see what that was, go and check that out. So you will see a bit more about the event there, and until next time, we'll see you soon.